But one of the other things that we were also working on for this hour was a conversation with the Greater Chicago Food Depository. Obviously, we've been checking in with them quite a bit during this government shutdown and now the end of it. As they've been hit with, an unprecedented type of situation. They already had great need walking into it, and then that was definitely exacerbated with more people losing SNAP benefits. And so I'd like to bring them back into this discussion and kind of find out where we are with things and how things look moving forward as more people are starting to get checks flowing again, but maybe not all at once and maybe not a full check either. Thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's first just say, what is your reaction to the shutdown finally ending?
We are so grateful. SNAP benefits never should have been interrupted due to the government shutdown in the first place. That was an unprecedented move. And so there was all kinds of evidence of how important SNAP is to our neighbors, from the long lines we saw at pantries to the large attendance at our emergency food distributions. So it was really unfortunate that it was impacted and shut down for a time, but we're so grateful that the shutdown has ended and that these benefits are being restored.
Cameron, obviously, like I mentioned, not everything is being restored all at once for everyone. And then there's that aspect of well, even when you finally get some money, you've kind of run into a hole waiting for the money to come. Can you talk a little bit more about how that affects the work that you all do and the people that you see?
Yes. To help people explain or understand, so SNAP benefits go out on different days of the month for different individuals. So anybody who was supposed to get their SNAP benefit on November 1st or 2nd or 3rd, they got nothing. And that was really difficult. A lot of the people who receive SNAP rely on those dollars, and they rely on them on that day. They have just enough to get by. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're living just at the margins. And so partial payments were restored days ago, and then they're now restoring, as of today, full payments. And everyone who got partial payments, those will be made right and fulfilled by the 20th of November is what the state tells us.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been difficult.
Mm-hmm. It has, and you all have been a great source of help for so many people, but you've also seen way more people than you typically do.
Yes. So the Greater Chicago Food Depository serves a network of more than 850 food pantries, soup kitchens, and shelters across Chicago and Cook County. And at our pantries, our network, from the first week of October to the first week of November, we saw a 38% increase in the number of guests we served. And that was just in the first week of November. That was just the first week that the benefits were frozen. And so we also gave out more than 4,000 emergency food boxes at distributions throughout the city. We put them in locations where we knew there was a high concentration of SNAP participants, and people were showing up as early as 7:30 for distributions that began at 10 o'clock, which I think really speaks to how critical this program is and how devastating it is when it is removed.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and you all were doing some different things to try to meet the need for the month of November.
Yeah, so we provided additional food to our partner food pantries so that they could have enough to keep their shelves stocked. We know a lot of them saw additional guests, like I said, up to 38% more guests. Some, anecdotally, I talked with some pantry coordinators who said they had twice as many on some of those days as they would normally see. And so we provided extra food so that they could meet the needs of everyone who walked through their door. And then again, we provided these emergency food boxes that were full of more than 20 pounds of food. It was shelf-stable foods, pasta, canned fruits and vegetables, some pouched chicken and tuna, enough to try to get them by for a week or two. And those were really well received. And those will continue, even though the government shutdown has ended and full benefits are being restored. We know that some people who went without for a number of days and weeks, that was a hardship. And so we are continuing those distributions this Saturday and next Saturday. And if anybody watching needs one of those, they can find the locations and the times on our website at chicagosfoodbank.org/find-food, and there's a list of all the different locations.
So I want to delve into another concern of anti-hunger advocates, if you will, like the Food Depository, that really say the hunger crisis is a healthcare crisis, and the fact that healthcare wasn't immediately addressed with the government reopening.
Yeah. Which we also think was unfortunate. A lot of the people that we serve, food insecurity doesn't happen in a vacuum. And so the people that we serve are also struggling to pay healthcare premiums. So when those are slated to potentially double or triple, we know that that's going to be a hardship for the people we serve. And then again, they're going to be forced with these really impossible trade-off decisions of, do I keep health insurance with these premiums that are now sky high, and or pay my rent or buy groceries, or make sure my kids have the clothes they need for school. So these are decisions that are really challenging and impossible for people to deal with. And I'm amazed at, when I go to our partner food pantries, how many of the people in line who are there to get groceries are telling, when they talk about the need that brought them to the pantry, so often it was a health issue that kind of pushed them over the financial cliff. I was working and then I got injured and I couldn't work for a year, and it just really put them in too much of a debt hole, and just this spiraling need that is really hard to get out of. And so people then being tempted to go without health care is just devastating to think of, because it makes them that much more vulnerable.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't think about how the difference in unexpected health care bill could have on other aspects of your life.
Yes, it's amazing how many people who are, one health crisis, one car accident, one layoff, one government shutdown, if you're a federal employee, away from really being in crisis and needing extra assistance in order just to have the basic essentials like food and shelter and, clothing for your whole family. And so this incidents like this, where some of those supports and safety net programs are taken away, really bring that into stark relief. And I think that that's important. And so as some of our safety net programs, healthcare, the food assistance, other things that have been kind of in jeopardy in recent months are being considered as taken away, we're really concerned, because these are essential. SNAP is the frontline defense against hunger in our country, and there are additional cuts coming to that in the months ahead. And so those will be more long-term cuts to certain individuals, certain segments of the population. And so this was a taste this past few weeks of the additional need of the devastation that's going to come when some of those supports are again weakened and taken away.
Well, a lot of people would say it was a bitter taste for many people. So do talk a little bit more about that. You all, the Food Depository, were facing a funding fight even before this government shutdown and SNAP being in the purview.
Yes, I mean, we've responded to an increased need since COVID, essentially. The numbers, we all know how the numbers spiked during COVID, and we saw lines at food pantries, around the block. We have not really seen our numbers go down since then. Maybe we've added additional days so those of distribution, so those lines aren't as long, but we waited for to return to normal, the normal we knew in 2019 after the pandemic, and it never really returned. And we realized we're living in this kind of new normal where it's what we once knew was really elevated and heightened need is now kind of where we live because of the cost of living. Grocery prices are high, rents are high, and wages just haven't kept pace. And so it's a real challenge for a lot of our neighbors. And so for us as the food depository, trying to provide food for to keep pace with this need is a constant challenge. Thankfully, we are so grateful for all of the people, especially in the past couple weeks, who've Chicagoans really do rise up and meet the moment, and we've been really grateful for this outpouring of support. A lot of volunteers that have come around to help neighbors, and we're really grateful for that.
Well, it's beautiful to hear that people are coming out and helping you to meet the moment, meet the need that is out there, although there are still concerns about what the future looks like in the weeks and months to come here. Cameron Matteson with the Greater Chicago Food Depository, we appreciate you as always.
Thank you so much for having us on, and thank you for continuing to keep this issue, and thanks to all who've been supporting. We invite you to keep at it.